Hi guys, welcome back to yoga. Today is Tuesday, June 21st, and this is our 33rd yoga class together since quarantine started in March. 33 yoga classes. And I know from talking to some of you that some of you have done every single one. That's so amazing, and I'm so appreciative when you tell me that, because I think this is a weird way to teach yoga, but I'm glad it's working for some of you. So 33rd yoga class, we're going to work on our hamstrings today. Mine are tight all the time lately, and it just feels good to open them and loosen them. And in the process of hamstrings, we'll also do forward bends and lengthen our spine and open our hips and just do a nice mixed bag of things with hamstrings as the goal. So get your mat, roll it out, grab a blanket or a towel to sit up on. My forehead looks super shiny today. And get comfy, okay? I'm watching my dog. She's in her crate watching me from across the room. We say, Callie, go to bed, and she walks into her crate very contentedly, but now she's giving me a stink eye, so as long as she's quiet. Okay, get comfy in your space. Some of you I know have signed up to take classes with me live right now on Friday mornings and Wednesday nights, and I am so grateful for the opportunity to be in person again. I think we're doing a good job. Everyone spaces themselves out nicely. Last night I had to laugh though, because where we are up near the community center, there's a big chunk of shade under the carport, which is where we are. And everybody positioned their mats in this chunk of shade. And from 6 to 7, as the sun sat lower and lower, the shade shifted to my right. And one by one, people would get up quietly and go from the left over to the far right, until almost the whole class had reversed itself and mirrored itself to be in the shade. But it worked, right? It worked. And today is a little less steamy, I think, than the last 2 days. I have been getting out by 7 to walk, hoping that I'll beat the heat a little. Yesterday was brutal. It was brutal. At 7 a.m. when you walked out the front door of the house, it felt like you walked into a wall of wet heat. Today was a little better. There was a little tiny breeze, but still just sweating buckets, detoxing my pores, I hope. I don't know, but that's why my hamstrings and my calves are so tight from walking up hills. But also, I was thinking about it today, I've been doing a slightly different route the last couple days just to, I don't know, shake things up a little. And so I go up a big hill, but then I also go down the other side of it. And I don't know about you guys, but walking down a really steep hill is kind of tricky. You can't just recklessly run because you'll fall on your face. So you have to show some restraint and hold back, but then muscularly, your calves and your Achilles get really tight and really sore. So just on my own, I've been trying to, every chance I get or think about it, do something that stretches straight down from the back of my hip down through my Achilles. Your Achilles is this area right here, on the back of your ankle, I guess. It goes up a little bit, and it can get very tight. My cousin was a college basketball player, and he tore his Achilles playing basketball, and it was a really big deal. It was a huge rehab. It was a big surgery, at least one, maybe even more than one surgery, but a really big deal. And so when mine feels super tight, I'm not worried I'm going to tear it because I'm not out there playing college basketball, but I don't like the uncomfortable feeling, and I don't like how I feel when I have to get out of bed at 3 in the morning to use the bathroom and my Achilles are tight. I can tell. So I think getting some ideas in your head, if you're kind of feeling the same as me, that the back of your legs are always tight right now, getting some poses stored in your brain that you can do simply and at any time without going through the rigmarole of unrolling a mat or formally having an at-home yoga practice is a good idea. So that's what we're going to do. So lie on your back, as always, and get comfortable. I hope you all are in nice air-conditioned rooms like I am. I was talking to my best friend earlier, though, and saying that, you know, when I work out at home and I'm in the air conditioner, it feels good, and I'm thankful for the air conditioner. It's not as satisfying as walking in the door after walking, you know, 3.5 miles or whatever the case is that day and just being drenched. There's something very satisfying about getting super, super, super sweaty when you work out to me. I've always enjoyed that. I might not necessarily like the process, but I like the end when you finally have a cold drink. You feel like you really, really, really worked and accomplished something. And working out in the living room with the air conditioner just doesn't give me that same feeling. But I hope that right now you're comfortable on your mat, you're laying on your back, you're in a nice air-conditioned room, and you're finding your breath, right? That smooth, gentle inhale and exhale. Drawing the breath all the way down to the low belly, holding it there for a couple counts, and then slowly exhaling it back out. As always, notice how you're feeling as you lie here. Start at the top of your head, work your way all the way down your body. Take note of anything that's tight, anything that's a little achy, anything that just feels like it's a little off. It could be anything. It could be your shoulder, your stomach, your neck, one of your arches of your feet. It could be anything, but just take note of it. And then when we do something in our practice today that kind of brings that to light, pay attention to how it feels if you go deeper into the pose versus if you sit back a little and don't go quite as deep. Don't go so intensely into whatever the discomfort is. Sometimes I think you have to go through the discomfort in order to get the relief, but sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes you just need to let things rest and relax and heal. But nobody knows your body as well as you do, so that's for you to decide. I'm going to twist with you because it always feels good. So from your position of lying on your back, arms come out, big T, palms up, pull the knees in, take a twist to the right. So make sure, I know you're probably really sick of hearing me say this, but make sure that the legs are down and stacked, and then pay attention to your left arm. You want the left arm to unroll nice and flat out on the ground next to you, and then you can look straight up or towards the left hand, depending on your neck. All right, let's bring the knees up to center and come into either happy baby or one hand on each knee. You decide what's going to feel best on your hips right now. And then find some movement in your pose. Left to right, front to back, rolling to the outside edges of your spine. Taking that natural curve out for just a second. And then bring the knees back in. Let's twist over to the left. Get the legs down first and then pay attention to the right arm. Extend it straight out from the shoulder blade through the fingertips. And then either look straight up or look towards your right hand. All right, knees up to center. Same thing, happy baby or one hand on each kneecap. Going wide. Pulling your knees down into your underarm area and finding your movement. And then from here, don't release the grip on your feet. So either you're doing outer edges of your feet or you're doing a yogi toe lock, which is your pointer finger and your middle finger wrapped around your big toe. I like the yogi toe lock. I'm not really sure why, but you just want to make sure that either way you can bend your elbows out to the sides. You want full range of motion in your shoulders. So keep your grip, bring your feet together, and go straight with your legs. Bottoms of the feet facing the ceiling, pressing out through the backs of your knees to really open up whatever's going on back there, whatever tightness you might be feeling. And then, regardless of what you're holding on to, start to move your knees more towards your face, lifting your low back up off the floor. Big breath in. Exhale. Feet straight up in the air. Flex the feet, arms out, palms up. And let's slowly start to lower to the floor. You don't have to take forever. You just want to have some control here and not crash land. That's all. Lots of core that goes on when you do that, right? So arms are out, palms are up, close your eyes. Take some nice deep breaths here. All right, bend your knees, feet go wide on your mat. I like to walk my feet in closer for this. Some people I notice when I'm teaching and I'm watching keep their feet further away from them. It's up to you. You're just going to drop the right knee down to the inside of the left foot and feel this as a deep stretch on the top of the right thigh, the quad, and the front of the hip for sure. This is a pose that you may have to breathe into relaxing. It may not come real easy to just relax into it. You may need to take some deep breaths and breathe into it. And then come on up and let's do the opposite action. Let's just let that knee drop out to the right, to the side. So we're doing the opposite action of what we just did. I'm a big fan of figuring out opposite action for poses and trying to, as often as you can, do the opposite right after you do the pose that you were initially going for. I think it just feels good, but I also think it's good for your muscle to get that rebound. And then come on up. Go wide again. Now we're going to drop the left knee down to the inside of the right foot. Bring it up, and let's find the opposite action by just letting the left knee go out to the side and trying to release the inner thigh muscles, the groin muscles, and just the hip flexors that are holding everything so tight all the time. All right, bring it on up to center. We're going to pull our knees in, wrap our arms around them, and then we're going to cross at the ankles and rock ourselves up to sit. Okay? And then come over to hands and knees and come into cat and cow right in the front of your mat. Okay? So, just move a little bit, side to side, whatever feels good here. Maybe let your hips drop a little to the sides and get a nice side body stretch. Maybe do a little circular motion for the spine, for the hips, for just anything that's needing some release. All right, let's go into our cat and cow. My puppy's doing good. I think she's asleep. I think my voice puts her to sleep because it's just so humdrum to her. She's not a yogi, not yet. Start to move on your breath. Inhaling and exhaling, arching and rounding, making sure that you really release that neck and drop the head when you're rounding your spine up towards the ceiling. One more of each. Okay, so now we're going to do our first back of the leg stretch. This is such a simple, easy one, and I really like this one. So easy. You're just going to extend your, I want you to be able to see this, so you're going to extend your right leg behind you, curl your toes under, press them into the mat, and press out through the heel. But try not to shift the hips back. If I moved my hips back, I could really press out further. But I want to ground down through my hands and hold my hips stationary and just lengthen through the back of the hip out through the heel without moving the hips. This is similar to, probably most of you have done this, but you know when you walk or run or jog and you stand on a curb and you release your heel off the curb down into the street and you lengthen through the heel? It's the same kind of stretch. You're just doing it from a different starting point. Bring that knee in. Same thing on the other side. Press out through the heel, curl the toes under. Keep the hips stationary. Come back into your cat and cow. Find your movement on your breath for a minute or two. Come to a neutral tabletop position. We're going to use a balance pose as a lengthener for the back of our leg. So Right hand is going to stay on the mat, fingers spread nice and wide. Left arm comes up, thumb up, palm out, and we're going to extend our opposite leg. So I'm going to lift my right leg. I'm going to flex my foot so it's not real high. It's only as high as my hip. And I'm going to reach in both directions, but again, not moving the hips. The hip stays still. And then the hand comes down, and the knee comes down. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So put your weight into your right hand. Put your weight into your left hand. Right arm up. Left leg is out, foot is flexed. I'm pressing out through my heel, but I'm not moving my hip. So the pose goes, the stretch goes from the back of my hip all the way out through my heel. Hand down, knee down, wide knee child's pose. All right, come on up onto hands and knees. Let's go right up into downward facing dog. So spread your fingers nice and wide. Roll the weight of your upper body back into the palms of your hands. See how my fingers are lifted up? And then slowly roll the hand down, making sure that every part of the palm makes good contact with the mat and there's no space, there's no air space. Toes curl under, hips lift up. Bend your elbows a tiny bit, get that little micro bend. Drop your neck, release your head. And here, wherever your heels are, just start to encourage them to drop towards the floor. Some people can go all the way down, some people can't. It doesn't really matter, but you want them to drop so that you start to get the stretch. If we're always being very cautious to stay up on our toes, we don't get that back of the leg stretch, and that's what we're trying to do today. Shift your weight back into your hips a little, press the heels down. Inhale forward into a plank, roll forward onto the balls of your feet, but now press your heels back behind you to lengthen the legs. Back into dog, and then again down onto hands and knees, and come right into your cat and cow. Okay, so that's going to be our opposite action pose for a lot of what we're doing. Okay, wide knee child's pose. All right, come on up. So what we're going to do to start is come into a short, low lunge, right leg in front. Okay, we've done this sequence before. We're just going to build on it a little bit more today. So hands are on the inside of the front foot. We're going to shift our weight forward so that the right knee comes forward, both the hips come forward, and we feel this mostly in our hips, but For me at least, it's predominantly in the front of my left hip. And then we're going to sit back. So now we start to bring the back of the right leg into the pose. Pull the toes back muscularly. I have such an ugly blister on the end of my big toe. It wasn't even really a blister. I just played with it until it turned into one. I feel like I have blisters that are never going to go away at this point. Come on up. Let's switch sides. So come to hands and knees and just move a little bit gently from side to side here. Sometimes the simplest little sway can feel really relaxing and release and just feel good, you know? All right, left foot forward, short, low lunge. Another blister here. This one actually is a blister that I got like 3 months ago, and then it had a little scar, and then the scar got a blister, and then I accidentally shaved over it the other day, so that was lovely. Hands to the inside of your front foot, and shift the weight forward. Hoping to get to the beach tomorrow, but it's hard to get a good picture of what the weather is going to be like. Sit back. Alex is super into boogie boarding right now. He wants to wear his fins for swim and see what he can do. All right, come on up. So now we're going to walk our hands forward a little. Curl our toes under, lift our hips, come on up into dog. We're going to inchworm our way back to our feet. Drop our head, cross our arms, and release into the forward bend. Hands to the floor. Now we're going to inchworm our way back out to the front end of our mat. Little steps. Back into dog. Let's go right into a plank. Press out through the heels. Lengthen the legs here. Back into dog. 5 deep breaths here. Drop the heels. Get the length from the hip down through the heel. Press out through the back of your knee at the same time. Okay, now we're going to walk our feet forward to meet our hands, coming into a standing forward bend at the front of the mat. Cross the arms again and forward bend. Losing my shirt. Fingertips to the floor. Let's inhale up to a flat back. Arch your back and look up. Exhale and fold. Inhale up. Exhale and release. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale and fold. And this time we're going to roll all the way up to stand. I'm going to step way back because I took my head out of the picture. You stay at the front of your mat though, okay? So if you're at the front of your mat, you're going to step back with your left foot, maybe 1.5 feet, and you're going to keep the whole foot flat on the ground, but angle it up towards the top left corner. So it's like you're doing a warrior foot. But then move the foot out to the side, so your feet aren't lined up heel to arch. Does that make sense? So my feet have maybe a foot in between them. My front foot is flat and facing forward. My back foot is flat and facing out to the side a little bit. I want to do this just so that I can square my hips off to the front of the room. I don't want my hips to face the side. I want them to face you. Okay? Lift the toes on the front foot. Inhale the arms up and start to reach forward, hinging at the hips 90 degrees. Toes are up high, so you feel this intensely in the back of your leg. Keep the hips even, and then go all the way down. Keep the toes high. Press out through the back of your knee as you lift the toes high, okay? So this is a pretty intense stretch. Hamstrings, calves, Achilles, back of the knee. It's kind of targeting everything. Now, rather than come up, we're going to drop the toes. We're going to walk the hands out a little. See my back leg? It's up off the ground. I'm going to lift it straight up behind me, flex the foot, and come into a balance. And then I'm going to slide it right down next to the other one, and I'm back in a forward bend. Hands to the floor, inhale up, flat back. Exhale and release. Inhale up, flat back. Exhale and release. Inhale up, flat back. Exhale and release. And then slowly roll all the way up. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to step back with the right foot. Like I said, about 1.5 feet works for me, but it might be different for you. And then you're going to bring the foot out to the side a little bit. So you have lots of, so you feel really balanced. That's what you're going for. You don't want to be in this skinny little line with your feet where it's harder to turn your hips forward and you feel like you're tightrope walking. You want to feel like you have lots of balance here. Okay, so arms inhale up, lift the toes on the left foot, start to hinge forward at the hips, and come all the way down, toes lifted high. Remember, press out through the back of your knee, keep the hips squared off, keep the toes high so that the whole back of that leg stays muscularly engaged. Okay, now we're going to walk the hands out, and we're going to launch the back leg up behind us, flexing the foot, shifting the weight into our standing leg, and then slowly sliding that right foot in next to the left and coming back into our standing forward bend. All right, come on down. Hands and knees. Find your cat and cow. last wide knee child's pose. So go wide with your knees, press your hips back, bring your arms out in front, chin, chest, forehead to the floor, whatever feels best. All right, come on up. So grab your blanket or your towel, whatever it is that you use to sit up on, and come to a comfortable seated position with your legs out long in front of you. Okay, just bring one hand to either side and just start to move a little from side to side. Just rocking from one sit bone to the other. Simple and a lot like cat and cow. It just feels kind of good. It's a soothing motion, right? It's like when we have a new baby and we stand and we're holding them, we're always sort of rocking, you know? And then I don't know about you guys, but I know for me, I still find myself doing this when I'm in line at the grocery store or when I'm doing something at the kitchen counter. It's just a soothing motion. All right, come to a standstill, flex your feet. So now, without doing a whole lot, hands are gonna stay on the floor on the outside edges of your hips. Come onto your cupcake hands. I want you to extend out through the right heel and see if you can lengthen the leg out of the hip socket, but it's not a big movement, right? So I'm doing it right now. I'm lengthening out through my right heel, pressing the back of my right knee down into the ground and trying to create some space in there. And then I'm going to relax that leg and do the same thing with my left side. And then my right. And my left. One more time. Okay. So go back to your rocking. And then when you're ready, roll down to a comfortable lying down position. We're not quite done, but get comfy. Get comfy. Remember at some point during quarantine when I first got these new yoga pants and I wasn't sure what I thought? I loved them so much. I wish I had bought like 6 pairs. Yeah, I love them. I love how they wash. I love how comfortable they are. I love how light they are in hot weather. I wore them last night to teach outside and they were great. I love them. I love the pockets. I love the high waist. I love, you can't really see it, but there's a built-in tie that ties into a cute bow in the front. I love them. These, aside from my new orange running shoes, are my 2 best quarantine purchases so far. All right, so bring your arms out into the big T position, palms up. We're going to do the exact same twist that we did in the beginning, because sometimes when you're doing forward bends, sometimes when you're doing things that might be uncomfortable, we tighten our low back. So I want to make sure that if that happened to you and you're someone who inadvertently did that, that we leave our time together without you feeling clenched, okay? So arms are out, big T, palms are up, pull the knees in, use the core, drop the legs over to the right, and then settle the left arm all the way out to the side, flatten the ground, and either look straight up or look towards your left hand. When we are done here, Cam and I are going to run to the farmer's market afternoon seems to be a less congested time to go there. And one of my yogi student friends gave me her recipe for chimichurri sauce, which I love. And I really, really, really want to make it for grilled chicken. And I think we have steak in the freezer to grill. But her recipe looks good. So I want to get the stuff and make it and let it sit today, and then maybe put it on grilled chicken tomorrow. If you don't know what that is, it's I don't know if it's Southwestern or Latina, Spanish, I'm not sure, but I get it at a Mexican restaurant, and it's just this thick, herby, it's almost like a pesto, except it's not ground that small. Things are just chopped really finely, and it's a combination of whatever herbs you want. I'm going to use basil, cilantro, flat parsley, and I think that's probably all I'm going to use. And then I'm going to throw in a little garlic, salt and pepper, lime juice, and olive oil. And you don't turn it into like a salad dressing consistency. Like, you don't want a vinaigrette. You want it to be thick. You want the herbs to be really like thick and lush. So I'm super excited to make that. And then Cam wants to make fresh salsa because it's Tuesday. So obviously it's taco night. So we're going to get the stuff to make that too. So we turned it into science class with Cam. Pull your knees up to center. Come into happy baby, or one hand on each kneecap, whatever you prefer. And then drop your legs to the left. Extend your arm out to your right with the palm up. And look either straight up or towards your right hand, whatever feels best. I just put a hold on 4 more books at the library. I'm so thankful the library is doing curbside service. That's such a bonus right now, right? Because I don't think I'd want to go hang out in the library, and I really don't want to go into a bookstore. And I get sick of reading things on Kindle, on my iPad or on my phone or on my Kindle. I like holding a real book sometimes, especially in the summer. I like holding a real book. I don't know why. But I just ordered 4 more books. I'm reading my way through the Reese Witherspoon book club list from the past year. She has really good, in my opinion, they're really good books. They're a little bit more intense than a typical beach read or summer read, but they're still easygoing and very enjoyable. So I like them. So I ordered 4 more today. That should take me, I don't know, a month or 6 weeks, I guess. And I have 4 to return, which might be late, but I don't really know. I guess if they call me, I can give them my debit card. I don't really know what to do about that. So if you haven't ordered books for pickup from the library, it's a great service. All right, guys, roll up to happy baby, or one hand on each kneecap. And then extend your legs out long in front of you. Bring them all the way down to the mat. Close your eyes and enjoy the way your body feels. Enjoy your new body, your new hamstrings, the new muscles and ligaments in the back of your knee, the back of your calves, the back of your Achilles, your hips, your spine. You know, like, at least for me, when I decide on what I'm going to focus on in a class as far as poses go and sequencing goes, I always feel like I need to tell you all the other things it's going to do. You know, so today was back of the legs, but you also opened your hips. You also lengthened your spine. You also, you know, played with the muscles on the bottom of your feet and the tops of your feet a little bit. And you open the pecs, and you know, like, there's always so much more than just what the original intention is when it comes to a yoga practice. So I hope you feel good. I always hope you feel better when we finish than you did when we began. So if all of you or most of you can say that that's the case, then we did good, right? Cam's always doing thumbs up for stuff. Thumbs up. Let your mind wander for a minute here. Relax on your mat. Feel the stickiness of your mat. Feel the heaviness of your muscles and how you're connecting to the ground underneath you. And enjoy that feeling, right? You work hard for it in yoga. You work hard for that It's an odd dynamic, but you work hard to create space, but also at the same time to create connection. Start to move your fingers and your toes a little bit. Take a big cat stretch if you want to. And when you're ready, roll over to your right hand side and come on up to sit, or just hug your knees in and roll all the way up. I prefer that. I know some of you prefer that. I know Nancy prefers that. All right, bring yourself up to a comfortable seated position, hands to your heart in prayer. Rub the palms together, get a little bit of heat, a little friction. Stick them, press them together, lift the elbows. Close your eyes, take a nice big breath in. Exhale the breath. One more inhale. Namaste. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining me again for our 33rd class. I hope this was what you needed today. And even if it wasn't what you needed, I hope you realized it was what you needed once we started doing it. Have a great week. Get out, drink a lot of water, enjoy the air conditioning when you're not out, grill, make life easy. And I will see you again in a couple days, okay? Take care. Thank you.